This certainly does not sound like any Stone Temple Pilots song I've heard before. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Purple by Stone Temple Pilots. Now, so far here on my channel, I've only heard Stone Temple Pilots' debut album Core that they released in 1992, and I absolutely loved it. Just a great grunge album. Their follow-up record to Core is Purple that they released 2 years later in 1994, and I am super pumped to check this one out. A lot of you have been suggesting that I listen to it in the comments. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into my reaction to Purple. Alright, up first on this record is track 1 called Meatplow. Oh, that was cool. I liked that effect in my headphones where it was on the right side and then it shifted to the left. I love that electric guitar really shining through. It almost has this engine revving up quality to its tone, just bringing a lot of energy. To break us down. There's almost this squeaky, kind of unoiled, creaky quality to the sound of the instrumentals on this track. Kind of an unpolishedness that really works. Well, that was track 1, Meatplow. Such fascinating sounds from the instruments on that one. I loved how unpolished it was. Kind of in line with the lyrics too. He kept saying to break me down, and it was almost like that song was coming apart in a way. Just sort of this loose, rattling around quality that it had. I loved the effect too on the vocals. At times they had this sort of drony secondary vocal, just creating a really cool atmosphere. But moving on to track 2 is Vasoline. Is this a second vocalist? The vocals are definitely much clearer on this song than the last one. The last one, they had a lot of that heavy grunginess to them. And this one, they're lighter, a little more melodic. I love this percussion. All the stuff they do with the instrumentals, I love the variety. Like just there with the guitar, there were so many different sounds they kept creating with it. That was track 2, Vasoline. Again, an amazing atmosphere on that one. How they were doing the change up with the vocals, it kind of created this really strong echoiness, almost like his voice was bouncing off the walls around you. And so much layering, like I mentioned, all of the variety with the instrumentals. There was always something new, it seemed like, to pick up on. I loved that percussion too, sort of this wooden-like quality to it. And then they kind of ended with that sound as well, just gradually fading out. Alright, moving on to track 3 is Loungefly. Right off the bat, those drums, I'm loving how impactful they are with their sound, just bringing a lot of drama. It's okay, release me. I think I'm free, but the dogs, they won't release me. I can't give what I take away. Please fulfill my There's something about this song, it's almost like you're creeping along, like it's building up really slowly. You know what it is? It almost reminds me of Inertia Creeps by Massive Attack. On these verses, there's a similar tone to this song as there is to that one. All of a sudden, now this song has this lighter, almost more sunny tone to it, if that makes sense. Maybe because those drums stopped and all of that kind of heaviness that it brought is gone. I love how the vocals are kind of fading out a little bit. They almost have this murkiness to them, like the instrumentals are drowning them out in a way. And then I guess that one is just going to fade out. But that was track 3, Lounge Fly. I love how we've had 3 songs on this album so far, and all 3 of them have had completely different vocal styles. On that one, it was really pulled in. It kind of had this more drawn-in murkiness to it, like the track was just building up to something. Those drums were definitely a huge standout on that track for me. Just such an amazing sound. It was almost like sheet metal or something. They just brought a lot of intensity to that track. But continuing on with track 4 is Interstate Love Song. Wait, this part sounds familiar. I've definitely heard this on the radio before. Right at this part, I love the twinginess that those guitars have. How his vocal builds like that on that line is awesome. That was track 4, Interstate Love Song. I've definitely heard that song before on the radio a handful of times. Just a great flow to it, kind of this carefree quality to its sound, and yet again, kind of a different vocal style with that one. It almost had this sort of country flair, like a bit of a twang to it. Their lead vocalist is just so talented. He can do so many different styles with his vocal tone. Alright, up next is track 5 called Still Remains. Such a clarity to his voice. There's this really strong projecting sound that it has. That little sound from the guitar there. Again, it was almost like an engine revving or something. I have goosebumps right here. How his voice just builds like that. That was track 5, Still Remains. I'm not exactly sure why. I was almost getting emotional toward the end of that song. It's just really beautiful. I loved his vocal tone, so clear and piercing almost with its tone. They were doing a lot of vocal layering on that one too. Again, I don't know if it's a backup singer or if it's just layering the lead singer's vocals, but it was creating this amazing sort of echoey quality, almost like you're floating around in heaven or something. But I'm going to continue on with track 6 called Pretty Penny.
Have you seen your mother, girl? Gone when you wake in the morning, gone.
This song almost has like this folk quality to it. It's almost like you're sitting around a campfire and there's just a bunch of people there jamming out on their guitars and singing.
Gone when you wake in the morning, gone.
And then it's like the song kind of picks up speed a little bit right here. Like they just gradually add on some extra layers of sound. Well, that was track 6, Pretty Penny. Very acoustic leaning, more of a stripped down sounding song. I liked how they were incorporating some really interesting percussive elements. It sounded like a tambourine at one point, and then I don't know if it was one of those like rain stick instruments, but it was just creating a really cool sound in the background. It really made me feel like I was out in the woods or something. It just had this really natural, organic tone to it. But I'm going to move on to track 7 called Silvergun Superman. So much droniness from those guitars, especially with that distortion they were using at the beginning. The bass really coming through right here.
Rolling back the days. You told the lie.
It's like we just dove into the deep end or something. The song just changed up its tone quite a bit. Man, I love how they're doing the sound of this song. It's like the guitar kind of just came in and it's slowly flooding and drowning out the vocals. That was track 7, Silvergun Superman. That ending was just this barrage of sound. I loved how the drums flooded in like that. And on this record, Stone Temple Pilots are really impressing me with their ability to fuse this really heavy, kind of gritty, grungy quality with so much smoothness at the same time. There's something really atmospheric about this record with how they're doing the vocals and all of that layering and sort of that echoey quality that they're creating. That song really leaned into that, and yet it still had that amazing heavy grunginess to it as well. But I'm going to continue on with track 8 called Big Empty.
Driving faster in my car. Time to take her home.
I love how the verse had this really pulled in, kind of intimate sound to it. And then it kind of dove into this chorus, which has this much more open, grandiose sound.
Way too long.
And then they take it right back.
Too much tripping and my soul's worn thin. Time to take her home. Conversations get
love that fuzziness of the guitar, all of that distortion they're using. That was track 8, Big Empty. Interesting track name because the tonal quality of that song on those choruses was almost like you were in a big empty room. Just, again, an amazing atmosphere, kind of like everything was bouncing off the walls around you. I loved the distortion on that guitar at times too, that fuzziness. And then the contrast between those really amazing grand choruses, and then they would just pull it in and make the sound really acoustic and kind of warm and intimate on the verses. There was almost this jazzy quality on the verses. Just that back and forth they did was so well done, I thought. Continuing on with track 9 is Unglued. This is certainly a punchy little track. I love how rhythmic it is. The guitar right there, how it kind of swept in like that. That was awesome. Well, that was track 9, Unglued. Definitely a punchy little song, that's for sure. That one got the momentum going and it didn't really let up at all. I love how rhythmic they kept it, a very steady track. And again, that was a great example of how they're bringing so much intensity at times, and yet there's this amazing streamlined, clean quality to their music too. It's so impressive to me how they can balance those two elements perfectly. But I'm going to continue on with track 10 called Army Ants. Squeakiness that the guitar injects from time to time just is giving this album kind of an unpolished quality, which I love. It's just adding to that grunge element that it has. This tone right here, how they've kind of slowed it down, it's almost got this dreamy sort of otherworldly quality to it. And then they pull you right back to the intensity. That was track 10, Army Ants. Kind of like the last song, Unglued, just bringing a lot of punchiness and intensity to it. The tone at the very beginning of that song, though, how it started and then they reintroduced it again later on, it just kind of slowed things down. It all of a sudden pulled you into this really dreamy soundscape, and then they would yank you right back to the intensity. All right, moving on to the final song on Purple is track 11 called Kitchenware and Candybars / My Second Album. I love how he was saying "Sail Me Down the River," and it was almost like that song just swept in all of a sudden with that energy. It just washed over you. Sail me down the river. All right, some violin it sounds like. love the bass right here.
Is what we wanted. What you wanted.
Alright, it sounds like that track ended. I'm assuming that was Kitchenware and Candybars, and then the title is / my second album, so maybe there's a hidden track or something at the end.
The second album.
This certainly does not sound like any Stone Temple Pilots song I've heard before. This is so jazzy.
Piano, the second album. This album cover.
I'm curious to know if this is even the same singer. I don't know if they got a different vocalist for this track, because it's just a very different tone.
The recording studio, my second album. Hoping that this record sells. The second album.
Well, that was track 11, Kitchenware and Candybars / my second album. The first part of that song, Kitchenware and Candybars, I thought just had this really amazing grandiosity to it, just this sweeping quality with its sound. I loved the use of the orchestral instrumentation on that one, and that bass really shone through beautifully as well. And then the second part, my second album, was a complete tone change from the rest of this record. Kind of jazzy sounding, very theatrical. It almost sounded like a different singer to me. It was almost like they were just kind of having fun and ending the record on a very lighthearted note. Well, that concludes my reaction to Purple, the second studio album from Stone Temple Pilots. They really pushed the boundaries of grunge in a fantastic way on this record. A lot of experimentation, a lot of different sounds that they embraced, and they were doing so many creative things with the instrumentals and the vocals alike. I really, really loved track 3, Lounge Fly. Such an interesting sound. It kind of had this pulled in, sort of creeping along quality to it, and the percussion really stood out on that one. Just such an immense kind of dramatic sound to it. And I think my favorite song on this album with one listen is track 5, Still Remains. Just a beautiful soaring quality to that one. Just the way he would build his voice up was so well done, and an amazing atmosphere too. But I thought this entire album from beginning to end was thoroughly entertaining. I'm glad a lot of you kept recommending this one to me in the comments, and yeah, I'm slowly discovering more and more of Stone Temple Pilots music, and I'm loving it so far. As usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.